At the beginning of the drama, we see a lady who gives birth to two children, meaning both are girls, and they both look identical. The elder one is named Mi-rae, and the younger one is Yu-mi-ji. Their father dies in their childhood, and then their grandmother and mom take care of both of them. Mi-rae is good at studies but mostly remains sick, while on the other hand, Yu-mi-ji is not that good at studies, but her health is very good. Because of this, an idea comes to their minds that since they look alike, they can replace each other. But one day, they get caught, after which Yu-mi-ji's hair is cut short so that she looks different from her elder sister. Then we see that they have reached school, meaning they have grown up. Mi-rae remains good at studies, and Yu-mi-ji is not so good at studies. In one scene, Yu-mi-ji is running towards the canteen to eat, but her teacher sees her and tells her to run. After this, Yu-mi-ji becomes a very good athlete and wins many awards. In a race scene, we see Yu-mi-ji running, but her foot twists and she falls. In the next scene, we see Yu-mi-ji's mom working in a company. There, ladies are praising her daughter, Mi-rae. Just then, Yu-mi-ji arrives there to call her mom, and her mom goes to her. Some ladies there say, "We heard her daughter works in a company," but Yu-mi-ji's mom says, "Yes, she works in a company, but this is her twin sister who used to be a runner, but she quit due to a leg injury." Yu-mi-ji's mom says to her, "How many times have I told you not to come here?" Yu-mi-ji replies, "Did you tell them again that you only have one daughter?" Her mom says, "Today is your last day of cleaning. You should say goodbye to the vice principal." Just then, the vice principal arrives and takes Yu-mi-ji with her. In the next scene, an old man says to Yu-mi-ji, "I heard today is your last day of cleaning. What will you do now?" Yu-mi-ji says, "I'll do something or the other." The man says, "I have a job, strawberry farming. You'll get a lot of money. Will you do it?" Yu-mi-ji says yes, and he says, "Send your resume." Then Yu-mi-ji fills out and submits her resume. In the next scene, Yu-mi-ji tells her mom, "I didn't get that job, but I have submitted a resume for a new one." Her mom yells, "Why don't you get a job?" She compares her to her sister Mi-rae, saying, "How long will you stay like this?" Yu-mi-ji is leaving when her mom stops her and says, "Give this food to Baeon-hong. Today is her husband's death anniversary." In the next scene, we see Yu-mi-ji at Baeon-hong's house, who is the vice principal. There she sees a childhood photo of herself with the male lead, Lee. Lee's mom says, "Have dinner with us today. Lee is on his way." Hearing this, Yu-mi-ji starts to run away, but Lee arrives at the gate. Lee stops her and asks, "What is Mi-rae doing these days?" Yu-mi-ji says, "Why don't you ask her? Why does everyone ask me?" and goes home. Then a past scene is shown where Yu-mi-ji is leaving for school, and Lee appears in front of her. Yu-mi-ji says, "You just shifted here yesterday, right? Why don't you walk to school with me?" Lee ignores her. Yu-mi-ji says, "You're not deaf, are you?" In school, the teacher introduces Lee and asks him to sit with Yu-mi-ji, but Lee pulls his chair away from Yu-mi-ji and sits. In the classroom, Yu-mi-ji thinks, "Why does he ignore me? Something is weird." In the next scene, a boy named Se-jin is seen. His friend says, "What are you doing here?" It turns out Se-jin has 3 greenhouses, where he grows organic strawberries, but he can't produce much. An uncle comes with resumes. Se-jin looks at Yu-mi-ji's resume, which doesn't have much written on it. He asks, "Who is this girl?" The uncle explains, 10 years ago, her grandmother fell and has been very sick since. So this girl couldn't complete her studies or go to the city to work. Se-jin is looking at Yu-mi-ji's resume. On the other side, Yu-mi-ji asks her grandmother's doctor, "Can I take grandma out for a walk?" The doctor says, "She can't walk." Grandma says to Yu-mi-ji, "Don't come near me, I don't want to see you." But Yu-mi-ji ignores these words and takes care of her. Then Yu-mi-ji calls Mi-rae and asks, "Why didn't you come to see grandma?" Mi-rae says, "If you need money, tell me, I'll send it." Yu-mi-ji says, "I don't need money. I just want to ask why you didn't come to see grandma." They get into a fight, and Mi-rae hangs up the phone. Then Yu-mi-ji goes outside in anger, where she meets Lee, who has brought fruits. Yu-mi-ji says, "I am not your servant," and leaves. She reaches a place where there's an old football and kicks it. Lee comes and stops her, saying, "You'll injure your ankle." Yu-mi-ji says, "What difference does it make? I'm not going to run anyway." Lee tries to stop her, but Yu-mi-ji accidentally hits him on the temple. Then we see a scene from the past where a football hits Lee's ear, and he is in pain. Yu-mi-ji holds his hand, but she doesn't understand what's happening. When Lee's ear pain stops, he leaves. Later, Mi-rae tells her, "Lee barely survived a car accident, his body was burned, he can't hear from one ear, and one of his legs has an artificial bone." Hearing this, Yu-mi-ji feels bad for Lee. In the present, Yu-mi-ji brings something cold for Lee because she couldn't find ice. She asks, "Is your ear hurting?" Lee says, "It doesn't hurt anymore and I can't hear from this ear either." Lee then talks about Mi-rae, saying, "I went to meet her, but she ran away after seeing me. I think something is wrong with her. You should meet her. She will tell you everything." The next day, Yu-mi-ji reaches Seoul. In a cafe, Mirai pretends to be fine and orders food for Yumiji. Yumiji asks, "Are you having any problems at work?" Mirai says, "I just came from work today." In the cafe, a girl injures her hand, and the owner tells her to go to the hospital. Yumiji says to Mirai, "Why don't you do something like that? You'll also get a day off." After which Mirai thinks, "Why don't I jump from my third floor so that I can get a leave of absence and go back home?" In the next scene, Yumiji goes to the restroom. When she comes out, Mirai has already left. She sees that Mirai has left her phone there. So Yumiji goes to her company to return the phone, where she finds out that her sister didn't come to work today. At this, Yumiji remembers what Mirai had said about being able to go home after jumping from the roof, so she starts running from there. On the other side, we see Mirai, who throws her bedsheet from the third floor of her house and is about to jump on it. And just as she lets go of her hand, Yumiji arrives and grabs her hand, but she can't pull her up, which causes her to fall down as well. But despite falling, they are both safe and sound. After which Yumiji says to her, "Do you want to die?" But Mirai says, "I had calculated everything, and I would have only gotten minor injuries, after which I could have gone home." But Yumiji says, "What were you trying to do? If something had happened to you, what would have happened to me?" Yumiji starts crying, so Mirai apologizes and hugs her. Then they both start crying together. Just then, a scene from the past is shown, where we see Mirai, who has come to the office. There, she meets a girl who always stands up for the truth, and for this reason, she even goes against her team. Because of this, everyone bullies her. Mirai helps her and goes to meet her senior, where she gives an interview and calls out what is wrong. And on the second day, Mirai sees that the girl has resigned from the office, after which she breaks down because she was thinking that she would fight with that girl, meaning they would fight against this company together. But the company gives Mirai a separate chair, and the people there start bullying her. In the present, Mirai is telling all this to Yumiji, and Yumiji says to her, "Why didn't you tell me all this before?" Mirai says, "I didn't decide to jump because of you. I didn't want to go to the office that day, but when your message came, I ran to the office." In the cafe, when you went to the restroom, people from my office came there, and seeing them, I quickly ran away. But Yumiji says, "Why don't you quit this job?" Mirai replies, "I have taken a loan from that company. Until I repay that loan, I cannot leave that company." In the next scene, Yumiji is leaving for the town, and Mirai has come to see her off. Then we see Mirai, who is near a bridge. Just then, Yumiji comes to her and says, "I will take your place and you will take my place." The next day, we see Yumiji, who gets ready and reaches the office. She asks a man where everyone has gone, to which he says that everyone is in a meeting, and she realizes that she is late. After that, she enters the meeting in front of everyone, which makes everyone look at her. The director says, "How is your health?" and he asks her to sit down, so she sits with everyone. After that, the team leader says, "You are sitting with us, so you have to say something. Speak up." Meaning, he starts asking her about the product being discussed in the meeting, to which Yumiji says nothing and just keeps flipping the pages. So the director ends the meeting right there and leaves. After this, we see Mirai, who is dreaming, and she is outside her office. The office people are bullying her, after which she wakes up. Her mother comes there. She says, "Did you dye your hair? It looks better than before." Her mother doesn't recognize who she is, Yumiji or Mirai. Then, her mom says, "You should go and meet your grandmother." So she remembers Yumiji's words that you have to go and meet your grandmother twice every week. But Mirai tells her mother, "I have to go to the strawberry farm." After that, she comes out of the house to go to the farm, where she sees that there is only a bicycle to go. She doesn't know how to ride a bicycle, but she still starts going on the bicycle. Song, her uncle, sees her, and Song is Yumiji's ex-boyfriend. Song says to his uncle she has dyed her hair. Then Mirai reaches the farm. Just then a man says to her, "You have come to work with this man for 2,100,000?" This man always talks about growing strawberries in a new style. Then Seijin comes and Mirai asks him, "Who is the owner of this farm?" Seijin says, "I am the owner." After that, we see both of them in the greenhouse, where Seijin says, "We have 3 warehouses, but we will only work in this one." And he picks a strawberry and gives it to her to eat. Mirai refuses, so he eats it himself. To this, Yumiji says that you shouldn't always be engrossed in work. You should come out for a walk. Lee asks her for something to eat, to which she says that this is not even a question to ask. This is the Hang River. Then they both eat noodles, which Lee likes very much. After which Yumiji asks him what he wanted to talk about. Lee says that, "Did you drop that case because of me?" Lee explains that in most such cases, there is sexual misconduct, so most people drop their case because they think that wrong things might spread about them. Yu Miji says that, "Are you talking about Director Choi?" To which Lee says that, "I thought it was lead specialist Park Seong." Yu Miji thinks that something has happened to Mirai that she has not told. Lee says that, "If you have dropped this case because of me, then we can work on it again and fight in court." Yu Miji says that, "If I have closed this case, it must be for some reason." After that, we see both sisters talking. Yu Miji says that today, she went for a walk by the river alone, meaning she is lying here. After this, Yu Miji says, "That is there something that you want to tell me?" Mirai says, "What do you mean?" So Yu Miji changes the subject. After that, Mirai says that, "Are you okay there?" To which Yu Miji says that, "I am absolutely fine, and I am very strong." The next day, Mirai goes to the hospital to meet her grandmother, where the grandmother recognizes Mirai. Mirai tearfully says to her grandmother that, "I have run away from there," to which the grandmother says that, "You did the right thing." Then we see the team leader who is scolding Yu Miji because she has not done her work yet. After that, she goes back to the same auntie. That auntie is about to throw salt on her again. But this time, Yu Miji shouts at the auntie and says that, "I am also working just like you. Just as you have to stay here, I also have to do this." After which that auntie says, "If you are done talking, you can leave from here." Coming out, Yu Miji says, "My work is not even done, but still I don't know why I am feeling good." Just then, she gets a message from Lee, so she goes to him. They are both talking when Yu Miji gets a call from that restaurant auntie. She calls her to meet, after which, she happily talks about eating ramyun with Lee, so Lee says, "Why do I feel like you are Yu Miji?" So Yu Miji says to him, "I am Mirai, and why did you feel that I am Yu Miji?" So Lee says, "Because you are getting excited like her." So Mirai says, "Can't I be happy? You can't say that to someone." So Lee starts apologizing to her. Then Lee starts to leave from there. Then we see a scene from the past in which she looks at Lee and says, "Everyone ignored me. After this, Lee came into my life and befriended me." After this, we see a school scene in which Yu Miji is standing on the terrace with her friend. Just then, she sees Mirai coming with Lee. So her friend says, "Is Mirai dating Lee? Because I have heard someone saying this in school too." Yu Miji says Mirai will never date him. Then we see a race scene when Yu Miji is running in the ground for the race. Just then, she sees Lee hugging Mirai. Seeing this, Yu Miji gets shocked and falls down. In the present, Yu Miji comes to the old lady. She says that, "I am rejecting your offer, and you should never come here again." Then we see Yu Miji in the office, where the team leader is telling her to do whatever it takes to convince them. Do anything to convince them to sell that land. They have deliberately given this project to her so that she cannot complete it, and she doesn't get the money either. In the next scene, we see Mr. Kim. One of his employees gives him a file and says that Chairman Choi's victim had brought a lawyer. Kim says, "Why has she hired a lawyer? Everything was settled, right?" But she gives him the file and says that they don't want to settle. They want to review the proposal completely again and review it. After this, Kim says, "Which case is Lee working on?" In town, Mirai's mom says to her, "Don't you have to go to the hospital?" Mirai says that, "I am going to my job. You can meet grandmother." But her mother says that, "I am going to my job." Then we see her mother, who is surprised and thinks, "How can she say that?" Then Yumiji comes to the farm with her ex. Song starts asking her if I can come to pick you up, to which Mirai is refusing him not to come to pick her up. "I will come." But he still starts telling her that you will not come on foot, I will come to pick you up. Just then, Seijin comes there and says that if someone is refusing you, you should listen to them. Song says, "Who are you and why are you coming between us?" Mirai is introducing them both, where Mirai says towards Seijin that this is my friend. Song gets out of the car and says that you are not from here, so you don't know about us. I am Yumiji's ex-boyfriend. Seijin says ex means that you are a stranger to her. After that, Seijin says to her that I will drop you home after work. And he says to Song, I am Yumiji's business partner. After that, a man comes to the farm and says to Seijin that I have brought the vegetable plants you ordered. Seijin then tells Mirai which plant is good and which one is bad. In the next scene, we see Yumiji, who is sitting outside the same restaurant. She sees that the old lady is going into a poetry reading room. She also goes and sits there. The lady starts the poetry, which is a bit sad. While listening to the poetry, we see that Yumiji goes into her past life, when she is always sad after the accident. In the present, we see that the old lady and Yumiji are both crying. Just then, the old lady sees Yumiji, so Yumiji starts running away from there. The old lady comes to her and says, "Are you following me?" But Yumiji says, "I came here for my work." In the next scene, we see Lee and Yumiji together. Yumiji says that maybe that old lady is going to file a case against me because nowadays I am following her. Lee says that you should go and apologize to her. Lee starts looking for that old lady's information, where he finds out that the old lady is from his law school, and that lady is also a poet. He says that she is the one who gave me a scholarship in school. Then he says that if Yumiji were here, she would have done your work for you. She knows very well how to open people's hearts, because anyone can talk in front of her. Then we see a flashback where she had a friend who used to be good with her, but then she becomes Mirei's friend and moves away from Yumiji. On the other hand, we see Mirei, to whom Seijin says, "Come on, I'll drop you home because it's night," after which he is driving his car. He has just learned to drive, so he can't drive fast. So Mirei starts driving it and reaches home. As soon as Mirei is about to go inside, Seijin stops her and gives her today's payment and starts to leave from there. Then Yumiji comes to the same old lady and says to her, "I'm sorry for following you. You also gave a scholarship to a friend of mine who wants to thank you." The old lady gets a little excited because she feels that he has come to thank her. Yumiji understands that the old lady wants someone to come and thank her because the lady also donates to the school, but no one comes and says thank you to her, nor does anyone appreciate her. Then we see Lee. His colleague tells him that the boss has given Director Choi's case to those two guys, leaving you out. Now Lee goes to those guys and says, "I can help you with this." So they both agree. Then we see a flashback where Yumiji asks Lee, "Where were you on the day of my match?" And he is about to tell her. Just then, Yumiji says to him, "You were with Mirei, and you also came to the ground, but you left with her." Then we see Yumiji, who tears off her plaster completely and goes to the ground for running, where her teacher says, "You need to rest." But she says to him, "I am completely fit and I can run." In the next scene, we see a doctor checking her leg and telling her that she will never be able to become an athlete, at which her mom gets angry with her because she had removed the plaster. If it had stayed on, her leg would have healed soon. In the next scene, we see that Lee has come on a blind date. Just then, Jian appears in front of him, after which we see Yumiji, whom Lee calls and asks to come there. Yumiji comes there, and Jian thinks that she is Mirei and says to her, "It's been a long time since we met." After that, Jian tells her that Lee has accidentally come on a blind date instead of a business trip. How can a lawyer be so naive? Yumiji says, "He was always like this." After which Yumiji asks her, "What do you do?" To which Jian says that she works in the J-Card company where they do promotions for restaurants. Then we see Seijin, who says to Mirei, "I'm sorry for that day. That chair belonged to my grandpa, and this farm is also his. I didn't pay much attention to it before, but after his death, I realized its importance. So now I am very careful." Then Seijin says to Mirei, "I have cooked for 2 people, so you can also eat with me." So Mirei also agrees. On the other hand, Lee has come to meet the old lady from the restaurant. She says to him, "I don't serve food to one person." To which Lee says, "I didn't come here to eat, but to thank you." He has brought gifts for them. He tells them, "I am the boy to whom you gave the donation." So the lady becomes happy. Just then, Yumiji also comes there. So the lady looks at her and says, "What are you doing here?" Then the old lady says to Lee, "I'll make something for you." Yumiji is surprised that the lady doesn't serve food to one person, so how can she give it to Lee? Then Yumiji comes to Lee and asks, "What are you doing here?" So Lee says, "I lost my job. Now I will help you with your work." But Yumiji refuses him. "I don't need your help. By the way, why did you quit your job?" So Lee says, "It's not a city law firm where I can work. There are other law firms here. I will get a job there. I quit that job. I don't regret it either." And he says again that I am going to help you no matter what. Then in the past, we see Mirei's teacher telling her that Yumiji hasn't come to school for 2 months and she has an exam. After falling, Yumiji stays in her room. She doesn't even go out, which is why Mirei cuts her hair and goes for her exam instead. In the present, we see Yumiji, to whom the director and team leader come. The director tells her that you have convinced that lady because they have scheduled a meeting for Friday. He then starts clapping for her, but he is just pretending. After that, we see the director and team leader talking to each other. Then the director tells the team leader to let her take the credit. If something goes wrong, it will come on her. Yumiji is listening to all this. Then she goes to this old lady, but her shop is closed. So Yumiji gets worried and starts looking for the lady. She sees her shopping at a store, so she goes and starts helping her. The lady tells Yumiji that I also have to go get a fridge. After that, the old lady gives her food for Lee and says that he must be living alone these days. You go and give this to him. Then we see Yumiji, who has come to Lee's house. She sees that Lee is a bit sad. Then Lee says, "What is this you have brought?" And she tells him that the old lady has sent this for you. She starts taking it out for him, but Lee tells her that I don't want to eat right now. Suddenly a plate falls from her and breaks. Lee starts picking it up, and his finger gets cut. After this, Yumiji says that last time you seemed very excited, but now you are in depression. You also seem sick to me. To which he says that I am thinking a lot, and he tells her that wherever I have applied, I have been rejected. To this, Yumiji says, "You haven't taken a break for a long time anyway. You should take a break. You should go somewhere for a trip." But he says that I don't like anything. Then Yumiji takes him to a shop from where they buy some things, and they both sit at a place. She is teaching him how to crochet, after which she says, "Is anything coming to your mind now?" to which Lee says no, and they both start talking. On the other side, Sejin buys something from a shop, and an uncle asks him, "Who are you taking this for?" And Sejin says that I am taking this for Yumiji, to which that uncle says you keep an eye on her. She might disappear because she disappears. Before also, she went to Seoul for a few years. She also has a sister who looks exactly like her, and she lives in Seoul. Then, Sejin brings that thing and gives it to Mirei. By sitting on this, Mirei can easily pick strawberries. After this, Sejin tells her that a man was telling me that you have a twin sister in Seoul. What does she do there? To which she ignores his question and asks, "Do you have any siblings?" To which he says that he is the only son. Then he says that I lived there after college, and I also worked there. In the next scene, we see Lee, who gets a call from Yumiji. Then Lee reaches to meet her. Just then, the old lady arrives. The lady's name is Rosa. After that, Lee starts calling Yumiji. So Rosa says that the girl is really crazy. She calls and then doesn't come herself. To which Lee says that there is no need to worry. I was free anyway. Then, the old lady tells him that I have come to get a fridge. Then, Lee goes to the fridge shop and talks, "Do you have the latest fridge?" To which he says that we don't have it. In the next scene, we see them in a restaurant where Yumiji finds out that the old lady has made Lee her legal representative, and the lady says that she will come to the meeting with him on Friday. After this, we see Lee, who gives her a pamphlet and says to give these documents to them before meeting. But Yumiji starts telling him, "Why are you making such a big deal out of this? We are friends, right?" But Lee says that work is in its place and friendship is in its place. In the next scene, we see Mirei, who is with her grandmother. The nurse is telling her that your grandmother needs a haircut. At the reception, we see her mother, where a lady tells her that your amount for this month has not been paid. The treatment fees for this month have not been paid, at which she is shocked. Here we see Yumiji, who reaches a reunion, where we first see this man, and we go into a flashback, where we see that he used to play football with her, and would not pass the ball to her. After that, the same man starts saying to guess who this is, Yumiji or Mirei. Just then, Jian arrives and starts saying that this is Mirei. At home, we see her mother, who is very tense. Just then, Mirei comes there and says what happened, and she tells her that Mirei has not sent the money for this month. Maybe she doesn't have money. But Mirei says, "You can use my money," but her mother refuses her and starts saying that you should save your money for yourself. Next, we see Yumiji at home. Just then, she gets a call from Mirei, and she picks it up. Mirei asks her, "Why are you not picking up my call?" Then Mirei says, "You must have received your salary. You should send money from it for the hospital bill and keep the rest for yourself." She tells her to come here on Friday because grandma needs a haircut, to which she starts refusing and says that I have a meeting. Then Mirei says, "Is your work now more important than grandma?" Mirei says, "You used to say the same thing to me," to which Yumiji says that I am not doing this for myself, I am doing it for you. Then Mirei says, "You give me the money, I will see to it," and cuts the call. On the other side, we see Sejin and Mirei, where they are both collecting berries, and Sejin brings some boxes. He says that you should send this to your sister. After that, we see Mirei at home, where she is filling a form. Just then, Lee's mother comes there and asks Mirei about her mom. Then, Mirei asks them to eat strawberries, to which she eats the strawberries and starts saying that I can make jam out of this. Next, we see the old lady who is taking down a bag, but she falls from the stool. On the other side, we see Yumiji, who is waiting for her because today is Friday. Her team leader is saying that she has not come yet, and Yumiji is calling her, but she is not attending the call. Then she calls Lee and asks him, "When did you last talk to her?" He says that I talked to her last night. Yumiji tells him that she has not come here. Then Yumiji comes to the lady's house, where she sees the lady lying on the ground, which shocks Yumiji. Just then, Lee also arrives there. In the next scene, we see them in the hospital. Here, Lee tells Yumiji that she is absolutely fine now. She has not got many injuries. Yumiji says that it has happened again. If you had not come there, I don't know what would have happened. Then, we see a past scene. Yumiji's mom starts waking her up angrily and says, "How long will you lie here?" Yumiji starts telling her mother that, "What do you care? You have always thought about Mirei." She says that you should leave me alone, but her mom starts hitting her. Just then, her grandmother comes and takes her mother outside. Yumiji's mother tells her grandmother that all this has happened because of you. You have spoiled them so much. Then we see Yumiji's grandmother, who goes to her and says, "How long will you stay here? You will have to come out sometime, or the other." She says that she won't be able to face the people outside because they say a lot of things. Her grandmother says that you still have to survive, and we see Yumiji hugging her grandmother. In the next scene, Yumiji hears her grandmother's voice and goes outside. She sees that her grandmother is lying on the ground. She tries to make a call, but she sees that there is no phone at home. After that, she goes out of the house to the neighboring houses, but no one comes out of their house. Then we come to the present, where Lee says to Yumiji, "I have talked to the team leader. As soon as the old lady is discharged, we will have their meeting again." Later, Lee asks her what happened to her at that time. Yumiji thanks him and says that if you were not there, I don't know what would have happened. Besides that, she also thanks him for everything else. She says that the same thing happened with my grandmother. If someone else had been there instead of Yumiji that day, she might have been fine today. The hospital staff was also saying that if you had brought them a little earlier, they would have been better. If it weren't for Yumiji, my grandmother might not have been on the bed today. But Lee says, what is Yumiji's fault in this? He says that if that's the case, then my father's death was because of me. He says that on the day he died, he had taken him there forcibly. That day, I said that I will not go with mom, but with dad. That day, we both went out, and then a truck driver hits my dad, which causes my dad's death. If I hadn't been stubborn that day, my father would have been alive today. Yumiji says to him that it's not your fault at all. It's the truck driver's fault because he was drunk. Hearing this, Lee says to her, then how can you say Yumiji is wrong? You are telling me that it's not my fault. So how can you say such bad things about her? What happened with your grandmother was not Yumiji's fault at all. Here he also gets a little emotional. In town, we see Lee's mother, where she is making jam, and Mirei is also with them. After that, we see Mirei, who is looking at the same photo that Yumiji sees. Lee's mother comes and says that you are looking at this photo again. She picks up that photo and says that this is mine, right? I know. And she refuses and says that this is Mirei's. Then Lee's mother says that I can recognize her at this age because she used to make that look to hide everything, meaning to hide her soft side. No matter how she looks from the outside, she is very kind from the inside. But Mirei says about herself that she is not kind in any way. Lee's mother says that she is kind here. She had her hair cut so that she could give the graduation exam for her sister. She is the one who thinks so much about your family. Then we see her paying the hospital bill. In it, she writes Yumiji's name as the sender, and in the name of the payer, she writes her own name. In the next scene, we see Yumiji, who asks Lee, why do you defend Yumiji so much? Lee tells her, because I like Yumiji, as you know that she is my first love. Hearing this, Yumiji just keeps looking. Then we see in the past, where Lee and his dad are going somewhere in a car, and his dad is explaining to him that you should not do this. Just then, we see that a truck driver hits their car. Then we are shown some time later. A doctor tells him that he will never be able to recover. The doctor says that you will always have to maintain it. And here he is, talking about his leg. Then we see Lee, who has come to the park for hiking. Mirei is also there with Lee, and everyone leaves for hiking. Then we see Lee, who is walking alone. Then he meets Yumiji on the way, who is coming up and says, they told me you are coming, so I came down to go with you. And here Yumiji tries to help him, but Lee doesn't take her help. In the present, Yumiji asks Lee, since when is she his first love? He says that you knew she was my first love. Yumiji asks him when he first fell in love with her, to which he says that I fell in love with her in that park. Then Lee leaves for an urgent call. So after he leaves, Yumiji thinks, he loves me. I didn't even know. And what happened in that park? Then we see Mirei and Seijin, who have come to get something. Seijin has the same jam in his hand that Mirei gave him. There, Mirei meets Song, who says that you have been hanging out with him a lot these days. I will give you more money. You should quit this job. I will get you a new job. But Mirei says that this is a very important time for strawberries. I can't do that. Just then, Seijin comes and says that you must have heard what the chief said. You can't make someone's worker quit like that. Song says, why do you keep coming between us? Seijin looks at the jam and says she gave this to me to eat. So Song says to Mirei, did you really make this? Mirei says that I made this jam from the farm strawberries. Song gets angry and says, why have you never made this for me before? Then we see Lee with Rosa, where Rosa says to the doctor, I used to have stomach pain when I was young, but the doctor tells her that we found gallstones in your stomach in the CT scan. Then Yumiji also comes there. Lee tells her that Rosa will have surgery. In the next scene, Yumiji gets a call from Mirei, who makes her talk to her grandma. Yumiji asks her grandma if Mirei is taking good care of her. Have you had your hair cut? Grandma tells her that everything is fine here. You tell me how you are. Yumiji says that I am not at all fine here, and I don't know if I am doing the right thing here or not. So Grandma tells her that you remember the promise that we made to each other, so don't forget your promise. After the call, Mirei asks her grandma what promise she was talking about. Grandma says that it's a secret. In the office, Yumiji says to her colleagues that you are the one who gave me this file? The man says yes. So Yu Miji tells him, can you help me in making this report? The man is first refusing her that I can't make such a report, but Yu Miji tells him, I have been sick for a long time, and I am also in depression. Hearing all this, the man says yes. So the man says, whatever documents you need, you tell me. I will bring them to you. Then, that colleague sends all the documents to Yu Miji. So Yu Miji starts making the report. Then we see Mirai and Seijin in town. Here Mirai is teaching Seijin how to drive, after which Seijin has come to drop her home, and we see that just then Lee comes out of his house, and he says to talk to Yu Miji. After that, we see Lee and Mirai together. Lee tells her that he has quit his job. Then Lee asks Mirai who that boy was, to which she says that he works with her. Lee is about to ask her something. Just then Mirai says to him, what do you want to talk about? Lee says, I am also thinking about my past. Then I thought about my school memories, and you must remember that. After that, he talks about the same park and says whether you remember it or not, and he says that I still remember that moment we spent together. And we see the same scene where we see him at the top of the hill, and there Yu Miji looks at him and says, why did you come so high up? But Lee says that I don't want to live. I felt that if I couldn't climb this hill, then there was no meaning to my life. But Yu Miji says that you are being too dramatic. She says, let's go from here. She extends her hand towards him, and we see Lee, who is a little happy. In the present, Lee says that was my turning point. I want to thank you for that day. If you were not there that day, I might not have reached the hill. After that, Lee gives her a bag and leaves from there. Then we see Mirai, who tells Yu Miji that Lee had come here, and he was talking about the past, and he also thanked you that if you were not there, he might not have reached the top of the hill, and he also said that it was the turning point of his life. Then Yu Miji says to Mirai, are you okay? And Mirai says yes. I felt a little strange, but he couldn't recognize me. To this, Yu Miji says that I am not talking about that. I am talking about the fact that you two dated in the past. Now he was talking about me, to which she says that there is nothing like that. I never dated him. Are you saying all this because of those rumors? To which she says that on the day of the race, I saw you two hugging, but Mirai tells her that I was sick that day. Then we are shown the same race scene where Mirai is very sick. She is about to fall there, but Lee catches her. After this, we see them both in the hospital. And here Mirai tells Lee not to tell anyone anything. She says that until school time is over, you will not tell anyone. Yu Miji says to Mirai, why didn't you tell me that? To which Mirai says that you had pushed me away, so what would I tell you? To which she says that you could have told me later. To which she says that after that, you started liking Song, and I felt that you had no interest in Lee. So I didn't tell you anything, and tell me the truth. Do you like him? To which Yu Miji says no. In the next scene, Lee has come to Yu Miji's office for a meeting on behalf of Rosa, where he hears two girls talking about Mirai, that she seduces boys. Lee then comes in front of them and says to them that I can file a case against you. You are talking nonsense about others. After this, he goes to the same office, and here we see that Yu Miji is about to say something to him. Just then, he says that my name is Lee, meaning he tries to act like an unknown person here. After this, Lee asks the director and team leader who is in charge of this matter. At this, the director gives his name and says that I am in charge of this. But Lee tells him that Rosa does not want to sell the restaurant, and if you go to disturb her again, I will file a case against you. And if you have to talk to my client about anything, you will have to come and talk to me first. Then in the lift, Yu Miji says to Lee that you didn't even say bye to me. He tells her that if someone saw us like this, I don't know what they would think. He talks to her for a while and leaves from there. In town, we see Mirai, who gets a message from Seijin in which he has written that we will meet tomorrow, meaning they are talking about having a tea party, at which she smiles a little. Her mother asks, are you talking to your farm owner? To which she says yes, and her mother starts saying that you should pay attention to people and take care of yourself. Before dating and marrying someone, at this Mirai says, what are you talking about? After that, her mother starts asking if you are dating the farm owner, to which she starts saying, how can you even think that? Why would I date him? Her mother says yes, I thought that these rumors are all false. In the next scene, Director Kim says to the lawyer, the old restaurant lady has recently hired a legal representative for herself, and it is Lee. Kim says he used to work in our firm before. Mr. Kim says that we will look into this case. From the looks of it, Mr. Kim seems to want to take revenge on Lee because he left his firm. In town, we see Seijin, who is preparing for a tea party. Just then, Mirai arrives, who tells him that she is quitting this job, at which Seijin says, why are you doing this? Did I say something wrong to you? At which she says that there is nothing like that. Seijin says that the strawberries are growing, and I can't do anything alone. I will need your help. But Mirai says sorry to him and starts to leave. At which Seijin stops her and says that at least tell me why you are quitting this job. at which Mi-rae says that this is my personal matter. In the next scene, Lee is with Ji-yeon, where she talks to him about Mi-rae. You're helping the old lady because of this, right? So he says, I am her legal representative. To which Ji-yeon says, I thought you were helping Mi-rae because you two were together in school. So Lee says, how did the rumor about me dating Mi-rae spread in school? So she says, your lifestyles and interests were the same. Lee says, I never dated Mi-rae. In the next scene, we see Yoo Mi-ji in a bar where she is drinking. She says to her colleague, I worked so hard, yet the director didn't like the report. So he tells her to take a few days break. You are tired, so you should rest. But Yoo Mi-ji says, I can't do that. Otherwise, I'll lock myself in the room again. It was very difficult to come out last time. So he asks, how did you come out last time? So Yoo Mi-ji says, I came out because of my grandmother. Then we see a past scene when Yoo Mi-ji goes to the hospital to see her grandmother. In the present, Yoo Mi-ji says, I used to try to go out somehow, but I didn't have the courage to cross the gate. Then in the past, Yoo Mi-ji says to herself, if I don't go to see grandma today, I'll never be able to go out. Then she goes to her grandma, who is very happy to see her. She says, being paralyzed, I'm starting to understand what you must feel, what it's like to be locked in a room. Then she makes a promise with Yoo Mi-ji that she will never run away from problems again, but will face them. This is the promise that Grandma was talking about with Yoo Mi-ji in the previous scene. In the next scene, Yoo Mi-ji calls Lee. After hearing the call, he comes down. He sees Yoo Mi-ji drunk. She says to Lee, why didn't you tell me before? You can't treat me like this. So Lee says, what have I done? So Yoo Mi-ji says, because of you, so many questions are running in my mind. Lee says, why are you so curious? So she says, you made me so curious. What happened in the park that day when you went up? He says, you weren't up there. Yoo Mi-ji was up there. In the past, we see Lee reaching the top. He sees Yoo Mi-ji was waiting for him. She is happy to see him. Lee says, that's when I fell in love with Yoo Mi-ji. Now in the present, Lee says, if I were alone, I would never have reached the top. It was possible because of Yoo Mi-ji. Here Yoo Mi-ji says to him, I was up there for you that day, and confesses, I like you too. She then asks Lee, you tell me who you like. So he says, you are drunk right now, we will talk about this later. But she holds Lee's face and asks, no, you have to tell me. So Lee says, me too. In the next scene, we see the morning. When Yoo Mi-ji wakes up, she remembers about the night and says to herself, what have I done? Then she thinks about Lee's confusion, that maybe he likes Mi-rae. Just then, Lee comes with hangover medicine. So Yoo Mi-ji says to him, whatever I said last night, I said it because I was drunk, so it doesn't mean anything. Lee also says, you don't need to think too much because I have sorted everything out. Then she gets ready and reaches the office late, for which the team leader scolds her. Just then, the CEO comes and asks them to come to the meeting. The CEO asks the team leader about the project, which he cannot answer. So Yoo Mi-ji answers in his place because she had made this report. After this, the CEO gives her that project. After this, she sees a parcel, in which there is a note with SY written on it. She hears her colleague talking. Park Seong sent this gift, from which Yoo Mi-ji thinks SY must mean Seong. There we see Mi-rae, who is sad thinking about Seong. Just then, her mom comes and asks, why are you lying down at this time? So she says, I have quit my job. In the next scene, Lee comes to Yoo Mi-ji with Ji-yeon, where Ji-yeon, thinking Yoo Mi-ji is Mi-rae, talks about something old. Yoo Mi-ji gets a little confused, but pretends that she is Mi-rae. Then after they leave, Yoo Mi-ji thinks, maybe Lee is dating Ji-yeon, so she gets jealous. Next, we see a back scene, in which Se-jin asks Mi-rae, what is the reason for you quitting your job? So Mi-rae tells him, everyone is talking wrongly about us. Hearing this, Se-jin tells her, you shouldn't care about people. But Mi-rae leaves from there. In the next scene, when Yoo Mi-ji talks to Mi-rae on the call, she tells her, next week we will be back in our respective places. So Yoo Mi-ji gets a little worried because she has a lot of work to do now. In the next scene, lawyer Kim asks the director, who was in charge of this project. So the CEO says, Park was handling it. He is not here, so we have given it to a worker. So Kim says, I want to meet that worker. Then Yoo Mi-ji comes to meet Kim. So he asks her about the restaurant lady. So Yoo Mi-ji says, I don't know them much. So Kim asks her about Lee. So she says, yes, he is my classmate. Kim asks her to introduce him to Lee, but Yoo Mi-ji refuses. Then Kim leaves after asking her to lead a project. In the next scene, we see Lee and Yoo Mi-ji in Rosa's restaurant. Rosa has been discharged from the hospital. Ji-yeon has also come to see her. There, Yoo Mi-ji sees a photo, under which two names are written, Rosa and Sang-wol. Just then, Rosa comes there and tells them to go downstairs. In the next scene, Se-jin sits on a chair after work and remembers his grandpa. In the next scene, Lee finds Yoo Mi-ji's watch at his house. He remembers when she was at his house. In a drunken state, she said to Lee, take off my watch. Then Yoo Mi-ji holds his hand, so Lee sits next to her. In the present, Yu Miji is looking for her file. Just then, Lee calls her and says, "Have you lost something?" So she says, "Do you have my file?" Then we see them in a restaurant where Lee gives her the watch. In the next scene, Kim tells Yu Miji, "Arrange my meeting with Rosa." Then Yu Miji comes to Rosa's restaurant, and Rosa gives her the file. "You forgot this here." Yu Miji asks her, "Have you seen it?" So she says, "I don't know about it." Then while leaving, she thinks, she can't read, which means she is not Rosa, she is Sangwol. Just then, Lee comes to her. He tells her, "I already know she can't read. That's why she has hired me as her legal representative." So Yu Miji says, "When she can't read, how does she have so many degrees? She is definitely hiding something from us." So Lee says, "If she is hiding something, there must be a reason for it, so we should wait." In the next scene, Yu Miji has come to a party with her colleague. Lee has also come there with Jian. On the other hand, Song has brought Mi Ray to Seoul. He tells her, "I have also booked a room for you." Mi Ray tells him to stop the car and gets out of the car and says to him, "How can you kidnap me and bring me here? Even if you are my ex, you can't cross your limit." Just then, Song says, "You are not Yu Miji." There we see the party scene where everyone is eating. Jian's friend says, "Song is bringing Yu Miji here." He makes fun of Yu Miji, so Lee starts getting angry at him. So he gets up and leaves from there. Yu Miji asks him, "Is there any clash between you and Lee?" So he tells her. Then we see a past scene when Song tells this man, "I like Yu Miji." So this man tells him, "I will tell you how to propose to her." Just then, Lee also overhears their conversation. He tells Song, "You will not tell Yu Miji that you like her," but he doesn't listen. Then he comes and proposes to Yu Miji, so Yu Miji also says yes to him. They make a video of it and make fun of her by watching it. Lee comes there, breaks that mobile and starts fighting with them. Then that man starts speaking ill of Yu Miji in front of her. So Yu Miji insults that man in front of everyone and leaves from there. She starts going to Lee. There Lee tells Jian, "You can go now." So she holds his hand and says, "She is not Mi Ray, she is Yu Miji." So Lee says, "I know about it." Then we see a scene from the past in which Yu Miji, in a drunken state, says to Lee, "I didn't want to lie to you. I am not Mi Ray, I am Yu Miji." Then Lee calls her name, and she answers him, which makes Lee recognize her, but after that, he pretends that he doesn't know anything. There, Mi Ray asks Song, "Will you tell everyone about this?" So he says, "No, such things should remain a secret." He then asks, "Why did you quit the job at the strawberry farm?" Mi Ray says, "Has Si-jin hired someone else?" So Song says, "I don't know about that." There we see Yu Miji and Lee. Yu Miji can't walk, so Lee carries her on his back. Yu Miji says, "Next week I have to tell you something, but I think I should tell you now." Lee says, "You shouldn't be in a hurry. Whatever you have to say, you should say it calmly." In the next scene, Se-jin is working when it starts raining, so he gets worried and starts finishing his work. Just then, Mi Ray arrives there and helps him. Then Se-jin is making noodles for her. Mi Ray sees a newspaper and recognizes him. He used to work at a stock market company. He says, "How do you know all this?" To which she replies, "I keep reading these kinds of newspapers. I'm interested in all this." She asks Se-jin, "Why did you quit your job?" He says, "I'll tell you the day after tomorrow." On the other side, we see Lee, who has come to Yu Miji's company. A previous scene is shown where Rosa says to him, "Tell them we are not selling the restaurant." In the company, Kim meets him and shows him a file. Lee says, "I know everything, but my client is not selling her restaurant." Mr. Kim says, "I want to help Rosa." Lee says, "You're not helping them, you're using them." Mr. Kim says, "You have to convince them to sell the restaurant." Then Lee is with Yu Miji. She says, "Are you free next week? I'm thinking of introducing you and Yu Miji because she's coming here next week. I don't know much, but she also wants to say something to you." Lee says, "Yes, okay." In the next scene, a lady says to Yu Miji, "You're still here?" Yu Miji doesn't understand anything because she is not Mi Ray, so she doesn't know who she is. The lady says, "I am Park Sang-yoon's wife. I thought you would quit this job and leave before Park arrived." Yu Miji doesn't understand anything. Just then, Jian comes and says to the lady, "What are you doing here and why are you talking to my friend?" The lady says, "This is between me and Miss Mi Ray." Jian tells her, "This is not Mi Ray, it's Yu Miji." Then Yu Miji and Jian sit somewhere, where Yu Miji asks, "You didn't tell Lee, did you?" Jian says, "I don't know, maybe he knows or maybe he doesn't." Then Yu Miji asks Jian, "Do you know that lady?" Jian says, Mi Ray was having an affair with her boss, and he was married. Some of their photos were also leaked at work. Yu Miji says, Mi Ray can't do something like that. Then, in town, we see Mi Ray, who comes home, and her mom calls her from outside. "Someone has come to see you." When she goes outside, she sees that Lee is there. Lee says, "That day I came to talk to someone else, but today I have come to talk to Mi Ray." On the other other side, Yu Miji's mom reaches the school. Lee's mom is also there. Everyone is cleaning up because of last night's storm. Yu Miji's mom says to Lee's mom, "Your son came to our house to talk to Yu Miji." Lee's mom says, "He didn't tell me anything." Just then a lady comes and says, "You two are going to be relatives. Maybe something is going on between them." Yu Miji's mom says something to Lee's mom that touches upon Lee's son's disability. Lee's mom says, "You talked about my son's disability. Apologize to me now." They both start fighting a lot. Yu Miji's mom says, "I didn't say anything about his disability. You're misunderstanding." Lee's mom grabs her hair and pulls it back. We see Lee and Mi-rae where Lee is saying, "You filed a sexual harassment case against Mr. Park, but recently you withdrew it. Why did you do that?" Mi-rae says, "It has nothing to do with you." Lee says, "Maybe this happened because of me because the day I came to you, you left from there and also dropped the case. Now your twin is working there. What do you think everything will be over?" Mi-rae says, "Did you tell Yu Miji anything?" Lee says, "I didn't tell her much. That's why I came to ask you directly so that I can help you." Mi-rae says, "When did I say you should help me?" Lee says, "All this happened because of me, so I have to fix it." He asks, "What happened between you and Park?" Mi-rae says, "You are crossing your line." Just then, both of them get calls from their respective moms. On the other side, Yu Miji is thinking about Mi-rae. What had happened to her? She has a link to their photos on her phone, but she can't click on it because she had promised me that they would not interfere in each other's lives. Just then, she also gets a call from her mom. In the hospital, both their moms are on beds. Both are injured. The doctor says they both have to stay here for 2 days. Then Lee and Mi-rae come out. Just then, Lee sees Yu Miji coming there. Seeing her, Lee says to Mi-rae, "Pretend that you are Yu Miji, because Yu Miji doesn't know that I know everything." We see Mi-rae standing there acting. Then the two sisters are talking. Mi-rae tells her that Lee's mom and our mom had a fight. That's why they are in bed. Yu Miji says, "That's why Lee is here." Lee says, "I came here for some work." Just then, Se-jin comes, and Mi-rae says to him, "I told you that I will be late because my mom is in the hospital." He says, "I am more worried about the elderly." He looks at Mi-rae and says, "She looks exactly like you." Yu Miji asks, "Who are you?" Se-jin says, "I am a strawberry farmer." He says to Mi-rae, "Didn't you give her the strawberries?" Se-jin also says to Lee, "We met outside the house that day." They both say hello to each other. Then Se-jin says to everyone, "Come on, let's go eat somewhere." Then Se-jin says to everyone, "Come on, tell me your names." He asks Yu Miji, "You work in Seoul, right? Where do you work?" She says, "I work at the Korea Finance Management Corporation in economics." Se-jin says, "My partner is also very passionate about this." He says, "Both sisters are interested in the same thing. This is a big deal." Then he asks Lee about his work, but says, "Come on, I'll guess. Maybe you work in law." Lee says, "Yes." Yu Miji asks, "Where is your farm?" Se-jin says, "You probably wouldn't know because you live in Seoul. My farm is on the other side of the bridge, Chingvaba Farm." Yu Miji says, "That belongs to an old gentleman. His grandson studies abroad." She asks, "Are you that grandson?" Se-jin says, "Yes, I am." Then outside, Mi-rae says to Yu Miji, "Let's end this. You stay here. I'm going to Seoul." Yu Miji says, "Lee is also here." Mi-rae says, "Lee knows everything, and I told you not to meet Lee. Come on, let's talk about this at home." Yu Miji thinks that Lee knows everything and remembers her previous conversations with Lee and feels quite embarrassed. Just then, Lee comes and says, "We are going home now. I will leave in the morning. When will you go to Seoul?" Yu Miji says, "I will talk to my sister first, then I will decide." Then at home, Lee is looking at the same photo. A scene is shown where everyone has passed out of school. Lee's mom comes and says, "You are standing here. Let me take your photo." They both start taking photos. Yu Miji is leaving from there. Just then Lee stops her and says, "What should I do to convince Yu Miji to meet me?" Lee recognizes that she is not Yu Miji, but Mi-rae. There, Se-jin says to Mi-rae, "You're talking as if you're leaving. Your family isn't very worried, but you were giving more reasons." Mi-rae says, "Why are you repeatedly saying all this to me? You can't live my life." Se-jin says, "Yes, I said this in high school too. I wanted to study, but I never wanted to go out. But one day my grandpa came to see me. I told him that you have sacrificed everything for me, so how can I think about myself? I will never be able to repay your debt." He says, "That day he shouted loudly at me that this is not a real reason, you are giving me an excuse." Mi-rae asks, "So what was the real reason?" Se-jin says, "I was scared." As soon as Mi-rae goes out, she meets Lee, who says, "Our conversation was left incomplete." Mi-rae says, "When I want to talk, I will let you know." Lee thanks her for not telling Yu Miji anything, but Mi-rae says, "I have told Yu Miji everything." Just then, Yu Miji comes out from inside, and they both behave awkwardly because now they both know about each other. A hospital scene is shown where Yu Miji arrives, but everyone thinks she is Mi-rae. Lee's mom says to her, "You have become even more beautiful than before." Yu Miji and Lee say hello to each other as if they have met after a long time. Then Yu Miji goes to fill water. Lee also comes there. She says, "You fill the water first. I am leaving from here." After this, Seijin comes to Mirei and says goodbye to Mirei. Mirei asks, "What you were going to tell me yesterday, can you tell me now?" Seijin says. Then they both sit somewhere where Seijin says, "I was working in my company when I got calls from my grandpa. Not one, but 2 calls, and I cut both of them. Later I found out that he had passed away." Seijin says, "After he died, something broke inside me. I know most people don't react like this. They roam around, eat, but it didn't happen with me. I became quiet and quit my job." Seijin says that I don't care about those rumors because the people who know me know what I am like. He then says that tomorrow is my grandpa's birthday. I will have to celebrate his birthday alone again. In the hospital, Yu Miji comes to meet her grandmother, where she is very happy. After this, we see them both outside, where she accidentally tells her grandma that mom is hurt, and her mom is very worried. Here in Seoul, Mr. Kim's employee comes to him and tells him about Rosa, that Rosa was educated in an orphanage and has no relatives, but she has a son. Mr. Kim asks what happened to her husband. He says that her husband was murdered. She was also a girl from the same orphanage. He asks if we can talk to her, to which he says that she is dead now. We see that Mr. Kim asks to keep an eye on Rosa, after which Mr. Kim sees the girl's photo where her name is Sangwol, and we find out that it is none other than Rosa in the photo. Then Mirei meets Lee at his house. Mirei says that what you were saying about the office was absolutely right. I didn't want everyone to know about this problem. When I go to Seoul, if I need any help, I will let you know. In the next scene, Song sees Yu Miji and goes to her, where Yu Miji pretends to be Mirei. So Song says, "I have recognized you, so stop pretending like this." Then they both talk about Lee. Yu Miji says to him, "Did you know that Lee likes me?" Song says, "Yes, now I know that he also likes me." So Song says, "Then why don't you go and confess that you also like him?" She says, "Lee liked the past Yu Miji." Then we see a past scene, when Yu Miji finds a book of Lee's outside the house, in which it was written, "I will go to Seoul tomorrow. I want to talk to you." So Yu Miji goes to him and says, "Why are you giving me this book?" So Lee says, "We had decided that we would go there and roam around. So I am going there first. That's why I am giving you this book." But Yu Miji says, "Now this book has no meaning. Everything is over." In the present, Yu Miji says, "I had said a lot to him on Facebook, but I had a misunderstanding then." Song says, "You should go and tell him now." So Yu Miji says, "I will tell him later." But Song says, "You have to tell him now." There in the hospital, Yu Miji's mom says, "Sorry to Lee's mom. I didn't say anything like that about your son. My daughter also has a defect. So how can I say that to your son?" Then everything becomes fine between them. In the next scene, Yu Miji goes to Mirei and says, "You should quit that job." But Mirei says, "That is a very good job, so I can't quit it." Then Mirei says, "Can you stay there for a few more days?" So Yu Miji also agrees to this. In the next scene, Rosa takes out a book in which there is a report. Lee is standing outside the house. Just then, Yu Miji comes there, so Lee holds her hand and says, "I like you." Then, we are shown a past scene in which he is with his dad. It is his biological mom's anniversary. He finds out that his stepmother is also going with them. So he gets angry at his dad that it is my mom's Memorial Day. So why is she going with us? Just then, the stepmother comes there and says, "I have work, so I will not go with you two." Then they both go alone and have an accident. After this, we see Lee in the hospital. His stepmother is happy to see him because he has regained consciousness. Then in the next scene, Lee comes out and sees his stepmother with her sisters, who are saying to her, "Why are you living with this child? He is not even your son." Lee gets sad at their words and goes inside. We see Yu Miji, who thinks about last night. She also says that she likes him. After this, Yu Miji thinks, "Are we a couple now?" Then Yu Miji tells her mom about Mirei's departure, so she starts shouting at her, "Why did you tell her I was hurt?" To this, Mirei says, "She is our family. She should know." After this, Mirei says, "I have to go to Seoul. Mirei has called me there." Then we see her talking about Lee. He should quit his job and spend time with his mother, because when Lee is with his mother, she is very happy. Mirei says, "How would you feel if Mirei did the same thing?" But her mother says, "What do you mean?" Mirei says, "What if she also quits her job and comes to spend time with you?" To which her mother says, "Stop this nonsense because their jobs are very different. Besides, one of my daughters is already unemployed. I don't want both my daughters to be unemployed." Next, Lee is packing his things. He also has a fever, and just then Rosa calls him and says, "I have to tell you something and ask you something. So when you come to Seoul, let me know." After which we see Lee, who has come to his mother. He tells his mother that he is going back to Seoul, and we see his mother is a little sad, but she says, "I will pack some food for you." Here, Mr. Kim comes to Rosa, who says that he has come on behalf of the company. He takes Sangwol's name and asks, "Do you know her?" To which Rosa says, "Who are you?" He says that he is lawyer Kim. In the next scene, Mireille has come to Sejin with a manual for strawberries. He says, "Why did you bring this for me?" She says, "I think you will be working alone, so I thought this would be useful for you." After which Sejin says, "You are not leaving today, so let's go somewhere." And we see that they reach a mountain where they have come to see the stars. There, Sejin says that it would have been better if we were in Seoul, to which she starts saying that if I were in Seoul, you wouldn't even have noticed me. Sejin asks, "What have you thought about your future plans?" To which she says that she will go to Seoul, work, and earn money. But he says, "I have a lot of money. If you want it, you can tell me. I will give it to you." After this, he says, "Whenever you go to Seoul, I will drop you there. You can let me know." Mireille tells him, "You will drop me there in a truck? Do you even know how to drive properly?" Here we see Lee, who has reached Seoul and has a fever. Just then we see Yu Miji coming from behind. Lee sees her and says, "How did you get here? I didn't even tell you." To which she says, "You told me that day, so I just made a prediction, and that's why I came here." In the next scene, we see them at a place where they are walking. Then Lee says, "Let's go to my house." At his house, Lee notices that Yu Miji is uncomfortable, so Lee says, "You are not here for the first time. This is your second time." To which Yu Miji asks, "Did you know at that time that I was Yu Miji?" He says that he was a little confused in the beginning, but the day you drank, I found out that you are Yu Miji. After this, Yu Miji looks at the things and says, "Did you bring all this from home?" He says, "I have brought my things here. I don't want them to stay at mom's place." But Yu Miji says, "She is your family, so what does it matter if your things are kept there? And if your mother hears all this, she will be very hurt." To which Lee says, "I want my mother to live well, meaning she should be free and without any burden." To which Yu Miji says, "When did you grow up so much? Because one day your mother left. You started crying. And do you remember that? Because you were in high school at that time." And we go back to the past, where Lee comes out of his room, and he has a fever at this time. He is coming downstairs when he sees his mother cleaning, and he asks, "What are you doing?" To which she says that she thought she would do a prayer for his mom and dad on their death anniversary. But Lee says, "Are you doing this for me?" To which she says that she is doing this of her own will. But Lee says, "There are two of them. Is one of them for my mother?" To which she says that their Memorial Day was on the same day, so I thought I would keep them together. She says that if you don't want to, I won't do this. But Lee says nothing. After which we see Lee, who comes out of his room. He sees that he is alone. Then we see Yu Miji, who gets a call from Lee's mom saying, "I got on the wrong bus, so I have come very far. So tell Lee to lock his gate when he sleeps. I will come by morning." After this, Yu Miji goes to Lee and tells him everything. And we see that Lee starts crying and Yu Miji tries to console him. In the present, Yu Miji asks him, "Why were you crying that day?" He says, "I thought my mom had left me." She says, "I was with you that day, and I didn't leave until you stopped crying." To which Lee says with a laugh, "You didn't even know anything, yet you were crying with me." Then Lee holds her hand. As soon as Lee is about to get up, Yu Miji sits down, and when Yu Miji is about to sit, Lee gets up. This scene becomes too awkward, so they both move away. After which we see that Lee starts taking out his things. It also includes the notebook in which the entire plan for the trip was made. Yu Miji sees it and says, "You still have this." She says, "Let's go to these places." And we see that they both go out where most of the restaurants and places are closed. Then they sit in a restaurant and talk. That is a 10-year-old book, which is why all those restaurants are closed. Yu Miji says, "This is my fault. I should have come here earlier." After this, we see that Lee says, "Let's get a new guidebook that is recent. We will plan again and we will go for a trip." Just then, we see that Lee's co-worker comes there. She sees Lee with Yu Miji and says, "Is this the one you used to talk about?" And we see Lee saying yes to her, "This is my girlfriend." Yu Miji says, "We are both classmates." On the other side, we see Lee's mom putting away things and saying, "Lee has taken most of his things." After this, she looks at a photo and we see in the past. She closes the gate. Lee's father goes to them. He says to her, "You even brought flowers for her, so why are you not going?" She says, "I don't want to spoil your day. So you two go together." Lee's dad says, "Maybe that's why everyone was against our marriage. And I also promised you that I will never let you feel lonely." Lee doesn't listen to me or obey me these days. After this, we are shown the hospital scene where his sisters talk about not keeping Lee with them. To which she says, "He is my son." After which she says to her, "Choose one between your son and your family." And we see that she says, "I choose my son." Then they say something wrong about Lee, so Lee's mom starts fighting with her. Then we see she goes to her mom's house to meet her, so no one opens the gate for them. So she calls her sister and says, "I want to see mom." To which she says, "You are not our family, so stop calling us." Here we understand how much his mother has sacrificed for Lee. The next morning, we see Yu Miji in the office. She goes to talk to the team leader about something. Just then, we see that Mr. Park arrives there. When Yu Miji sees him, she is shocked because Mr. Park looks exactly like her father. Yu Miji starts crying after seeing him. Then we are shown a scene from before where Mirai asks her, if you meet someone who looks exactly like dad, how would you react? And she says, first, I would be surprised. Then I would also feel good. I would want to spend time with him. In the present, Yu Miji thinks of calling Mirai, but she doesn't call her. And we see Mirai. She is with her grandmother and tells them she is leaving from here. Then we see Rosa, to whom Lee comes, and we see that Rosa is trying to ignore him. Then we come back to the same scene where Mr. Kim starts talking to her about Sangwol, to which she says, why are you taking her name? Kim says, I heard that you two were like family when she was alive. Then, after that, she says, why don't you sell this? Then you will never be able to see me again. To this, she says, my legal representative has already refused. Mr. Lee says he used to work in my firm. Then in the present, Lee asks Rosa, you wanted to talk about something? To which she says, I don't want to talk about anything. Now I will solve it myself. Then we see Yu Miji with Mr. Park. He tells her, the project you are working on was mine. One of us can work on it. So Yu Miji says, I have worked very hard on this, so I will not back down. So Park says, I am backing down myself. Then he talks to her about some things, so Yu Miji says, I will leave this project. So Park thanks her and gives her something, which is a bookmark. Park says, yesterday Mirai chose this for you. I don't know if you like it or not. So Yu Miji says, in shock, when did I go with you? So he says, my daughter's name is Mirai, who lives with me. Then we see Yu Miji with her dad in the past. She says, you and mom only like Mirai. Her dad says, but I love you both. In the present, Yu Miji is crying in her room. She calls Mirai and tells her, I met Mr. Park. So Mirai says, why didn't you tell me before? So Yu Miji says, I thought you wouldn't believe me. At first, I thought that whenever I meet Park, I would spit in his face. But I was shocked to see him and couldn't say anything to him. I know he is not my dad. He just has a resemblance to him. Then they both start crying, remembering their dad. In the next scene, Lee and Yu Miji are talking together. Then, when Lee stands up, Yu Miji hugs him from behind. Lee also hugs her. On the other side, Mirai has come to talk to Seijin about something. Just then, Seijin gets a call from someone, so he leaves from there. Just then, Mirai sees the books kept there, in one of which Mirai's name is written. Maybe he wants to give this book to Mirai. Just then, a man comes there. He looks at Mirai and says, will you take care of this farm now? Mirai doesn't understand anything. So he says, Seijin is looking for someone to take care of this place. Maybe he is going somewhere. Mirai understands that Seijin is going to Seoul because of her. In the next scene, Park is with the director. He tells him, how did Mirai give you her project? Anyway, she is behaving strangely these days. Then Park tells them she has a twin sister. It's possible that it's her twin sister instead of Mirai. The next day, they take her to a place to check, where the door has to be opened with Mirai's fingerprint. So when Mirai puts her finger there, the door opens, which makes them sure that she is not Yu Miji, but Mirai. Then we see a back scene where Mirai goes to a salon to know about Seijin and gets her hair extended. Then we see Mirai saying in the past, after fighting, you gain something in the end, but I have never fought a full fight. Whenever I fought a fight, I have always run away from it. For this, I have always taken help from others because I always rely on others. Hearing the news of Seijin going to Seoul, Mirai leaves from there and reaches the salon and gets her hair extended. After this, she reaches Yu Miji's place, where she sees that Tai Hai is there, who sees her and leaves from there. Then Mirai gets angry at Yu Miji. How can you bring anyone from the office here? Yu Miji says he is Jiyeon's younger brother. He joined the company to collect evidence for his sister. Now, he wants to know your decision. Mirai says, decision for what? To which she says, to report the company. You have to show the world what these people are doing. Mirai says to her, you don't have to do anything now. Stay away from these things. Then Mirai picks up the photo on which Jiyeon has written something about her. Then we see in the past where she meets Mr. Park for the first time because he behaves very nicely with her. Once Mr. Park drops her home, where he finds out that his daughter's name is also Mirai. Then Yu Miji goes to Rosa and says to her, I have dropped the new project. Rosa tells her about the guardian policy and says that I also have a son. Here, Tai Hai says to Mirai, I want to talk to you about something. Later, we see them both in a cafe, where Tai Hai says that a few years ago, my sister called me. She told me about her company where she was also being bullied. After this, he says that I have a lot of proofs with which I can expose their dark secrets. I need your help in this. Mirai refuses him and says, why should I do everything? Tai Hai says, people have said the worst things about you the most. You were the one who helped my sister. She says, no matter how much evidence you have, the company will suppress it all. Saying this, she starts to leave. Just then, Tai Hai says, you are not like those people. They are very cowardly. We then go back to the past where Mr. Park is with Mi-rae. This scene is after Jian leaves the company, where Mr. Park consoles Mi-rae. Mi-rae says, "If I had known that something like this would happen to me, I would never have done something like this." In the present, Mi-rae comes to her house. Then we see in the past, the man says to Sejin, "I told him everything." He then calls Mi-rae, but she doesn't pick up his call, nor does she reply to his messages. Then his reply comes, she says, "I am in Seoul. When I come back home, I will come to meet you." After this, we see Yu Miji, who is with Lee. She says, "I have to go home now. No one needs me here anymore." Lee says, "You can stay with me anyway. You are not needed there anymore." Later, Lee shows her the things she can use. Then Yu Miji comes after changing her clothes, and they both are deciding who will sleep on the sofa and who will on the bed tomorrow. Then Lee kisses Yu Miji. Later, Lee sits down and says, "I am thinking whether I should wear this half t-shirt or not because my burnt hand is visible in it." Yu Miji says, "I don't care about it," and we see that he kisses her again. The next morning, Mi-rae is in the company, and everyone there is watching something on their phones. As soon as she reaches the table, the team leader asks, "Did you do this?" To which Mi-rae says, "What are you talking about?" After this, Mi-rae takes out her phone and sees that someone has published an article about the company. Then she looks at Tae-hai. We see the CEO shouting at the director. The director calls Mr. Kim and says, "You quickly convince Rosa." In the company, we see Mi-rae, who comes to Tae-hai and says, "You did all this, I know. Everyone thinks I did all this." After this, we go back to the past, where Mi-rae is with Mr. Park, and a friend of his is also there. Mr. Park is drunk. Mi-rae fastens his seatbelt, at which he holds her hand and pulls her towards him. Mi-rae says, "What are you doing?" Mr. Park says, "I thought you liked me." He tries to kiss her, but Mi-rae starts to leave. Mr. Park says, "I lost my mind," and gets on his knees and starts apologizing. "Whatever you say, I am ready to do it." Mi-rae says, "Whatever happened, you forget everything. Let's remain as we were, as workers." Next, Mi-rae brings coffee for Mr. Park, but Mr. Park says, "You don't need to do this. People are misunderstanding. I also feel uncomfortable." In the present, Mr. Kim comes to Rosa. Rosa says, "I have already told you, I am not selling this." Mr. Kim threatens her, "Your secrets, I will bring them out. You also have a son who is in Sihan Mental Nursing Home Hospital." Rosa asks, "How did you find all this out?" He says that he has many people who are helping him. Rosa remembers she had told Yu Miji about her son. She thinks that Yu Miji has told everything. Then we see Lee and Yu Miji, where Lee is nervous because he has an interview. Yu Miji says, "This is just your interview. There is no need to think so much." On the other side, Yu Miji comes to Rosa, returns the guardian policy, and says, "I am not Mi-rae. I am Yu Miji. We are both twins, but I was the one from the beginning." Rosa shouts, "You told the lawyer about my son, right?" Yu Miji says, "I didn't tell anyone anything." But Rosa doesn't listen to her and tells her to leave. Yu Miji then comes to Lee, who says, "Maybe I can get the job. Tomorrow I have to meet the executive as well." She says, "I told you, everything will be fine." Lee asks, "What happened with you?" Yu Miji lies, "Everything went well. They didn't say anything to me." Then Yu Miji says, "Let's party." Then at home, Mi-rae has a pen drive that Tae-hai had given, which contains data against the company. She remembers the bullying scenes in the office. In one scene, Mr. Park's wife slaps Mi-rae in front of the office staff and says, "You have to stay away from my husband." Mi-rae files a sexual harassment case against Mr. Park, but everyone supports Mr. Park and makes fun of Mi-rae. Just then, Lee comes there, and Mi-rae leaves after seeing him. In the present, Yu Miji goes to Lee and says, "I lied to you." She starts crying. "This is all for Mi-rae. I don't belong here, so I have to leave from here." Lee says, "You can leave in the morning." She sleeps with him. In the morning, Yu Miji reaches her house where her mother sees her. Yu Miji then goes to Sejin and says, "Can I work with you?" Sejin says, "Yes, I had selected you after seeing your resume." In the next scene, Tae-hai says to Mi-rae, "I have to introduce you to my sister. She has been locked in her room for a year." He leaves Mi-rae at his sister's gate. Mi-rae tells her about the office and says, "I am scared." Jian says, "I am sorry. You helped me, but I ran away in fear." Then Mr. Kim comes to Mi-rae and says, "Stop what you are doing." Mi-rae starts recording on her phone and says, "I didn't do anything." Mr. Park says, "The company will take legal action against you." Mi-rae says, "After what you did to me, you made it seem to everyone that I did wrong." Mr. Park snatches her phone and sees the recording. Just then, Yu Miji comes and starts hitting Mr. Park. Mi-rae says, "There is no one here. Beat him well." In the police station, Mr. Park says, "I will file an assault case against them." Lee says, "There is a sexual harassment case against him, which Mi-rae had filed." The police ask Mi-rae, so she says, "Yes, it all happened." but I dropped the charges. Now I will file the case again. Mr. Kim calls Rosa and talks about selling the restaurant. Rosa says, I will not sell. Mr. Kim says, okay, now we will meet somewhere else, and calls a reporter. I am sending you something on email. You have to write an article in which the story will be that a lady stole her friend's life from her. Then in the company, Mr. Park is packing his things, going to another branch, but all the workers support him. Just then, Mi-rae arrives there. People say, how did you come here after doing so much? Mi-rae goes to the cafeteria. Tae-hai comes behind, asks, did my sister ask you to do this? She says, no, I am doing all this myself. There, Yumiji brings food for Lee. Lee gets angry. You shouldn't have fought with him. What if something had happened? Yumiji says, I can beat you too. I have that much power. Lee asks, how did you come to Seoul? She says, Mom said I can live my life my own way, so I will stay in Seoul for a while. Then in the restaurant, Rosa has an old man read a newspaper to her. It is written that Sang-won took everything of Rosa's, even her name, and also murdered her husband. In the company, the director and Mr. Kim are talking. The director says, is this article true? Will they sell the restaurant? Kim says, if they don't sell, I will get the owner changed. Rosa has a son and an uncle who wants to sell. I will make him the guardian. In the morning, Rosa sees the restaurant's glass is broken. Then she gets a call from an inspector lady who says, I read in the article, you have committed a crime. Rosa turns off the phone. In the library, Yu-mi-ji and Lee are reading books. Lee sees Rosa's article on his phone. A man gives an interview on the news, says Rosa's friend murdered her husband, has been running the restaurant as a fake Rosa for 30 years. Yu-mi-ji and Lee reach the restaurant. Rosa doesn't open the gate from inside. The next day, Mi-rae meets Se-jin. They both go to restaurants where everyone knows Se-jin. Mi-rae says, how does everyone know you? He says, the owners here are my friends. There, Yu-mi-ji has brought something from Rosa's restaurant. Lee reads it, finds a prosecutor's name, Ko-young. Lee then goes to Mr. Kim, says, Ko-young is your friend. Why did you target Rosa's case? She has no family or friends. He says, I will never come here again. Yu-mi-ji goes to Rosa. Just then Lee calls her. He says, Rosa is looking for a guardian for her son. Then Rosa says to Yu-mi-ji, nowadays no one helps without a reason. Yu-mi-ji says, I will help you without a reason. Don't give up. We are with you. There, Se-jin and Mi-rae are watching stars through a telescope. Se-jin says, what were you going to tell me? Mi-rae says, you are going to the States. What difference does it make? Se-jin says, I haven't decided yet. First, I will talk to my business partner. Se-jin asks, what are you doing? She says, first I have to finish 2 things. Se-jin says, later, will you go to the States with me? They both just look at each other. In the next scene, Rosa, that is Sang-wol, tells Lee and Yu-mi-ji, my name is Sang-won. Rosa was my neighbor. She was a genius, but I was not good at studies. I couldn't read the alphabet, so I dropped out of school and started a job. One day, some people are bullying me, and Rosa saves me. Then we both sit and talk. Rosa recites her poetry. Then we both get a photo clicked. The photographer asks, are you friends? Sang-wol says, we are twins. Rosa was in love with a boy. Sang-wol calls to talk to Rosa, finds out that Rosa has left that house. Later, she meets her in the market. Rosa is with her child. Sang-wol finds out that Rosa's husband beats her, even when she is pregnant. Mi-rae asks, why didn't you report to the police? Sang-wol says, at that time the police would send you back home. In the past, Sang-wol sees in Rosa's house that her husband is beating her. As soon as Sang-wol stops him, he attacks her, saying, this all happened because of you. Rosa hits him on the head with an iron, and he dies. Sang-wol says, I killed him. Tell the police this, and tells Rosa to run. In the present, Rosa says, I will go to jail. Sang-wol sells poems for money. After coming out of jail, Rosa doesn't get a job because of her criminal record. Rosa tells Sang-wol to go to Seoul because no one knows them there. In the present, Lee says, you took her name? Sang-wol says, yes, I had a criminal record. After working for a year, they saved money and bought a 2-story house, named the restaurant Rosa Restaurant. Then Rosa finds out she has cancer and admits her daughter to a mental nursing home. Sang-wol goes to get her, but Rosa stops her saying, you can't take care of the restaurant and her? Sang-wol says, where are you going? Don't talk about dying. Rosa gives her a death report form, saying, if I die, tell everyone I am you, and you live as Rosa. Sang-wol refuses, but Rosa says, you are the only one who can take care of my daughter. Then Sang-wol agrees. Then Lee reads the paper given by Rosa, in which it is written that Rosa has transferred everything to Sang-wol's name. Lee happily shows the paper and says, this will fix everything. The 3 of them say, there is no need to fight anymore. Lee shows the file to the prosecutor saying, Rosa had transferred everything to Sang-wol's name. Sangwol looks at them, remembers in the past Rosa had said, "You will find good people." Then Yu Miji and Lee can't decide whether to bring a cake or have a strawberry party. Sangwol says, "Bring strawberries." Lee brings the strawberries, and as soon as he enters the restaurant, he gets a call, but he can't hear anything. Then he gives the strawberries to Yu Miji and leaves. After this, we are shown a scene from before. Lee takes a ring for Yu Miji, thinking that he will propose to her for marriage. But Lee stops hearing, so he leaves from there, making an excuse of urgent work. After this, Rosa gives Yu Miji something to eat for her. Then, when Yu Miji reaches Lee's place, she tries to enter the password, but he has changed the password. After this, Lee comes there. Yu Miji is about to go inside when Lee stops her and says that we will meet tomorrow. Then we are shown a scene from the past. After leaving Rosa's restaurant, Lee goes to the hospital. The doctor is putting some chemical in his ear. Then, the doctor tells him, "We have fixed your ear, but it can get damaged anytime." The doctor tells him that his ear cannot be fixed. In the present, after Yu Miji leaves, Lee's ear starts to hurt, and he starts crying loudly. After this, we are shown a scene from Mirai's company, where we see that some people have come for an investigation, but they ask the team leader to cooperate. After that, they start picking up his things. We see that Tai Hai is there, who is watching all this. In the company, we see Mirai, who is talking to Seijin, and we find out that they were sent by none other than Seijin, and here Mirai is thanking him. After that, Tai Hai is told by Mirai that he did all this, and she says that she is going to quit this job. Then Lee comes to Kim, and he asks him to take Mirai's case. Kim says, "Why are you not working on this case?" Lee says, "I have some personal issues, so I won't be able to complete this work." Kim then goes to Rosa and gives her a card, saying, "From today onwards, if there is any problem, call this number. Maybe I won't be able to meet you after today." She asks him what has happened to him. Lee tells her that he has a problem with his ear. Don't tell Yu Miji about this. Then later, Yu Miji comes to meet Lee. She asks, "Are you not feeling well?" Lee apologizes to her. Then they go to a restaurant. Just then, Yu Miji sees that the restaurant is upstairs. She says, "Let's go to another restaurant." Lee remembers the same scene from his past where he was climbing a mountain. Later, we see them both eating. Yu Miji says, "We are going to watch a movie," but she sees that Lee is a little unwell, due to which she cancels it. We see Lee, who says to Yu Miji, "We will not meet now." Lee tells her that he is not able to hear properly and the doctor has said that he may never be able to hear. But Yu Miji says, "So what's the problem with that? I will learn sign language." Lee says, "You have gone through that. You know how I must be feeling when someone shows pity on you. How you feel." He tells her that let's end these things here. And we see Yu Miji when in the past she also had an injury in her leg due to which she had moved away from everyone. Lee starts to leave from there. Then Yu Miji catches him. Then she understands Lee's feelings, after which she lets him go. Later, Yu Miji comes home where Mirai sees her and asks what happened. She tells her that she has broken up and Lee has broken up with her. Yu Miji says that I couldn't even stop him. On the other side, we see Lee. He is also crying. In the next scene, Lee remembers a past scene when Dad tells him that when you force someone to come to your side, you will lose that day, but you know that there is no win or lose in love. He is about to say something further when we see that the truck driver hits him. In the end, Lee thinks, "What did Dad want to say to me?" In the next scene, we see Mirai, who is leaving the office. When Tai Hai sees her, who is cleaning that table, he finds a picture in which it is written that you should give this to your sister. Then in the lift, the director threatens Mirai and says that after this, you will not be able to work in any company. I will not let this happen. Then Lee's mom gets a call from the doctor. He tells her about him. Then Lee's mom goes to meet him. She tells him, "You didn't tell me why. You can't just avoid things like this." He says that I haven't avoided anything. I went to the doctor. I also took treatment. The doctor has told me that I can become deaf in the future. His mom says, "You could have asked me for help too, right?" Lee says, "What is our relationship?" And we see his mom who is angry with him. Lee says, "You love me because of your love for my dad. I know you are angry with me." So his mom says, "Yes, I am also angry with your dad who left me and went." She then says, "I was also about to die, but you saved me." We see a past scene where Lee, after the accident, when he regains consciousness, he calls them mom. In the present, mom says, "When you came out of the mouth of death, you called me mom. For me, your love is the reason for my life. You are my son and I am your mom." Then they both hug each other crying. In the next scene, Mirai is in town with her mom. She tells them, "I have quit my job. I was not well there." She apologizes to them that I did not live up to my trust. So she says, "You don't need to apologize to me. You can live your life as you wish." There we see Seijin, who is packing his things. Then Mirai comes to him. So Seijin says, "You will go to the US with me, right?" So Mirai refuses that I will stay here and take care of your farm. On the other side, Yu Miji is with Rosa. She gets a letter and after reading it, she starts crying. So Rosa asks her if you broke up with Lee. Then she says that he needs your company very much at this time, so don't let him go to someone else. There, Lee's mom says that your dad's last words meant that there is no win or lose in love, but you always support your lover. So Lee gets emotional. In the next scene, Yumiji opens the door and comes out. Lee is in front of her. He hugs her. Yumiji says, I was also coming to you. He says, will you always be with me? There, Tai-Hai puts the picture of Mi-Ray in his sister's room, which she reads, in which it is written that you should forgive yourself and live your life happily. Then that girl comes out of her room. There, Lee and Yumiji are happy together and kiss. Lee tells her, I wanted to stay away from you because of my illness, because I can't hurt you, but I want to stay with you. After this, Lee gives her the same ring that he had brought for her. Yumiji is very happy after wearing the ring. Then Seijin and Mi-Ray are both fishing. Just then Mi-Ray says, can I stay in your house? Seijin says yes to her. Then Lee and Yumiji are in the hall, and they are both kissing each other when Yumiji's mother comes there and sees them. Later, her mother says, do you know about his illness? His mother had told me about it. Yumiji says, so that's why you were behaving like that with him? Then we see Seijin, who is packing his things and remembers his grandpa when he shows his grandpa the things he has brought from America. His grandfather doesn't give any reaction. He says that you have done so much for me, and I have come from college, so you should be a little happy. His grandfather explains that you have only passed college now. Grandpa says that the starting doesn't matter, the ending matters. Then we see Mi-Ray, who has come to meet Tai-Hai. She says what is going on in the company. He says that the team leader has been fired from the company and the director has been shifted somewhere else. Later, Tai-Hai asks, what are you doing now? Mi-Ray says that she is now farming. In the next scene, we see Yumiji and her mom who have come to see a house. But Yumiji does not have enough money for the deposit. Her mother says that I have savings. When you have the money, you can return it to me. In the next scene, Lee tells his mom I am dating Yumiji. She is the one who has changed me so much. I have loved her since school life. Lee's mom says that I am very happy for you. Then we see them both in a restaurant. Yumiji's mother tells her that you can do whatever you want now. You don't need to think about us. Then, Yumiji hugs her mom. Next, we see Mi-Ray, who is coming out of the court. Just then, Mr. Park comes there and says to her, you have brought this matter to the civil court. I have already paid the money, and now I don't have that much money. Just then, we see that Mr. Kim comes there. He says, when you break a window, it doesn't just mend itself. You have to pay for it. After Mr. Park leaves, Mi-Ray thanks Mr. Kim. Kim says, I started all this, so I had to finish it. Then we see Seijin, who is at the airport. Mi-Ray comes to him, and Seijin runs to her and says, I was looking for you everywhere. Mi-Ray says to him, I will keep sending you the farm details. She also promises him for this, after which Seijin says, can we hug each other? Then they both hug each other. Next, we see Lee, whose treatment is going on, and there we see Yumiji with him. Just then, Lee's mother comes there, and Yumiji is holding his hand. She starts telling his mother that nothing was happening here. Just then, Lee tells her that his mother knows everything. Then Yumiji goes to the hospital, after getting a call from her mom, where her mom says that your grandmother is saying that she wants to go home. Then, Yumiji goes to meet her grandmother, where her grandmother says, let's go home. Later, she brings her grandmother home. Then, Yumiji tells Mi-Ray that she wants to study there, meaning she wants to study at Seoul College. Mi-Ray says, if you want to study, you will have to study a lot. After that, she starts reading Rosa's book, where she sees that Rosa has started it with Sangwol's name. Then, Yumiji sees that her grandmother is not there. She sees that her grandmother is ready and is going somewhere. She says, how did you get well so soon? Just then, her grandmother says, I was lying down for a long time, so I thought I would go for a walk outside, and maybe I can also go to other countries for a trip. To which Yumiji says, I will also go with you. Her grandmother says, you have to study for college. Yumiji says there is no gate from this side. Where are you going? To which her grandmother says, now I don't need to walk. After hearing this, Yumiji understands that she is not in real life. Yumiji then comes to her grandmother and says, don't go, stay with me. If you go once, you may not come back. Her grandmother says, I will come to you as a bird, and if any bird looks at you for a long time, understand that it is me. Yumiji says, you don't need to think so much about me. You can go wherever you want to go. Whenever you get time, do come to see me. Then Yumiji starts putting on shoes for her grandmother, after which her grandmother hugs her. After this, we come to real life, where her mother wakes Yumiji up and says, your grandmother is gone. Then they all are crying. Next, we see Lee, who is learning sign language because his hearing power can go away anytime, so he is already learning sign language. Then we see Mi-Ray, who is doing her farming, and she is telling everything to Seijin. After this, Yumiji joins the academy. After this, we see all these people at home. Yumiji is checking her result, and she sees that she has passed. Then she gets admission in college. Then Mirei's crop is also complete, and she is taking the strawberries. Later, we see Lee in court, who is talking to a man in sign language because the person in front is deaf. Just then, Kim also sees all this, and Lee says hello to Kim. Then, Lee tells his secretary that he is my junior colleague, who is very good. In the next scene, we see Yumiji in college, where a boy misbehaves with a girl, so Yumiji supports that girl and starts hitting that boy. Then after college, Lee comes to pick up Yumiji. They both start going together. After this, they come to a place where Rosa, that is Sangwol, is reading Rosa's poetry, after which they both come to Rosa. Just then, a photographer comes to them and asks, "Is this your family?" To which Rosa says, "This is my great niece." Then she takes their group photo. In the next scene, Mirei sees Tai-Hai's sister, who is much better now and is working in a company. Then when Mirei comes out, someone bumps into her. She sees that it is Seijin, who says, "I have found you." In the next scene, Yumiji is selecting a dress when she finds a ring in the drawer, seeing which Yumiji understands that Lee is going to propose to her. So Yumiji says to Lee, "I don't want to get married right now. I have many plans right now." So Lee also agrees. Then they both kiss. In the next scene, Yumiji comes to her mom's house. She takes out her old photo album in which there are pictures of her and Mirei. In the end, she writes, "From here, Yumiji's soul life starts." Then she looks out of the window at a bird, seeing which Yumiji remembers her grandmother's words, and she starts smiling. And here this drama ends.